Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone, so much for hopping on this hashtag CAP College Experience panel. My name is Kayla King. I serve as the chairman of the hashtag CAP committee, which stands for College Admissions Process for the Theta Gamma chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated here at the University of South Carolina. And today for this panel discussion, we have some lovely guests on the call, so I'll allow everyone to introduce themselves.
Good morning, all. My name is Maya Schofield. I am a senior majoring in business administration with a concentration in management and a minor in marketing from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm from the sensational side chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Hey everybody, my name is Caitlin Richardson. I am an accounting major here at the but with the university, I'm part of the magnificent Musi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nimani Flowers. I am a senior biology major at Benedict College, and I'm also a part of the sensational side chapter.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Clarissa Wallace. I am a junior public health major. I am a member of the glamorous Theta Gamma chapter at the University of South Carolina.
Hi, can I go?
Yes, I was just about to say whoever can introduce themselves next and go ahead.
Okay, hi, I'm filling in for my soror, and I am McGill. I go to Clemson University. I'm a senior and I am a civil engineering student, and I'm also a senior, so yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can get started with our first discussion question. Our first question is, give me a second to question. What made you choose your university and why? And this is open to anyone to answer this question.
So I'll answer first. So for me, choosing Benedict College, I would say I didn't choose Benedict College. Benedict College chose me, as far as just the atmosphere, allowing the opportunities, allowing me to go as far as scholarship goes. So yeah, that's why I chose Benedict College. As far as the atmosphere, the people that's here, and also financial reasons.
My reason for choosing Winthrop, honestly, I came from a very small high school. I went to a private Christian school. I graduated in a class of 10 people. So coming to Winthrop, I definitely wanted something, a college that was smaller. And Winthrop definitely provided that for me. Other reason I chose Winthrop is it has a really beautiful campus. That's also something else. But they're also, the business administration college is really great with helping minorities in our future endeavors. I'm in a program right now that is specifically tailored for minorities in the accounting field, and I'm able to get internships and job offers just from being in the program.
I can go. So for me, I chose Clemson to finish up my degree because I'm in a dual program. So originally I was going to Claflin University, and that's a HBCU. And at that school, they had a dual program where I wanted to do civil engineering. So they offered applied mathematics with being able to go to another university. And so I chose that major because I always wanted to do something that can help better the society. So I was happy that I was able to go, to a HBCU, and then I was able to go to a PWI to get both experience. So basically when I graduate, I'll get 2 degrees. So that's why I chose Clemson.
So I chose Benedict more so for the scholarship. Benedict offered me a presidential scholarship, also too with the idea of they have a great business administration program. I also wanted to be in a place where I could be myself, Also not with so many people. Benedict is a little bit less than 2,000 students. And that was pretty much my high school in a sense. So I wanted to be in that same amount of people as far as population wise. And Benedict was just perfect. Benedict was only 3.5, it's only 3.5 hours away from home. So it's not too far, but it's far enough. Just a place where I can also be myself and flourish and be able to grow as a person. And as well as just develop my develop my skills, as well as to be able to be in an area where things are improving, because I want to be a politician, or more so an attorney. So I know Columbia is also an area where they breed a lot of politicians and attorneys.
I'll go. I'm from Irmo, South Carolina. So if you're not from here, that's about like 20, 25 minutes from here. So I grew up here. So USC just like felt like home, truthfully. My mom also graduated from here. So there's that connection. So we grew up going to the games. We bleed garnet and black, literally. So this is like always been home. So my mom always told me that if when choosing a college, find a place that's home away from home, and USC has always been that for me, and I'm really happy with my decision.
Is there anyone else on the panel who would like to answer that question? Okay, if not, we can move on to our next question. So our next question is, what is the campus climate, the culture like on your campus?
So here on Benedict, the campus is pretty cool. I really enjoy it. It has its what I would call like a quiet time, and then more so like a lit time. Homecoming is most definitely one of those weeks where it's extremely lit. It's extremely fun, and you get that HBCU experience that everybody wants or everyone hears about, and it definitely happens on homecoming week. As well as I think it's very family oriented. So whereas we speak to each other more so like bro and sis and cousin and uncle this, uncle that, and auntie this and that, it's really cool. It's to the point where like I have professors that check on me and ask me, "Hey Maya, you good? Hey Maya, you going home this weekend?" and things of that nature. So the climate here is pretty well. I think it's really adaptable for anyone, any and everyone that likes to feel welcome, and a little bit nurtured in a sense, because you always want that homey feeling, or just the idea of that someone other than yourself or your close friends care. Because you literally have people that walk down, the yard or whatnot, and just be like, "Hey, how are you?" And that's your opportunity to speak and, honestly tell how you feel. And then the conversation can go from there and give you what you need or what you want. But I think here at Benedict, the climate and the atmosphere is really a great place to be. Yeah.
My name is Raylan Cook. I am a Spring 21 initiate of the Theta Gamma chapter at the University of South Carolina. And I also serve as the student assistant in the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So I feel like I can answer this from more of like diversity's perspective. Although our state numbers don't necessarily match up to our university's compilation of numbers, we do a great job, in my opinion, of trying to make sure that our Black students do feel welcome. There's different residential programs like summer seniors, and most and different things like that to allow like Black and other minority students to be able to see campus before they get there and kind of get their feel out, if this is the spot for you, because it is different going to PWI and experiencing a Black culture at a PWI than it is at an HBCU. And although there isn't as many of us, we do our best job to make sure that Black USC receives the utmost best. These students receive all types of scholarships. There's a different financial opportunities for all of us. The amount of research, the different activities that you can do with your professors. Our Leadership and Service Center really does a great job to making sure that our minority students are involved in the community and seen. Student government make sure that our minority students are able to be put in position and celebrated. We have our Office of Multicultural Student Affairs, which houses majority of our multicultural student orgs, and it allows for students that look like me or you to be able to find their place on campus. So even though you are in a sea of a lot of new faces and people that don't necessarily look like you. You can find your home here. It's not as difficult as people may think. But with that being said, we do attend a predominantly white institution. There are some systematic injustices and just imbalances within our system. And we as students do the best job that we can to fight that. Within the 2020 vision, there's been multiple protests on our campus. If you're a Black student at the University of South Carolina, not only will you have the opportunity to speak your mind and speak your voice, but you'll also have the opportunity to grow as a student and as a student leader.
For Winthrop University, I feel like we do like diversity very well. Minorities make up at least 50%. I think it's like 48, kind of like that. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, half the time I forget that I go to a PWI until I go to class or I'm walking on campus. But we have a diversity center, which is really great with just anybody, people of color. Honestly, if you have a problem, you can just go in there and talk to people in there. And like Rylan said before, like obviously we deal with systematic things, but if there is a problem, then usually Diversity Center will handle it. But I'm gonna go ahead and say this now. If you know Winthrop University, if you don't know Winthrop University, the Black community at Winthrop University like to call ourselves Rock Hill State University, the HBCU inside of PWI. So in that culture, basically, we just kind of look out for each other. It's a very close knit community, and honestly, like most colleges, homecoming is a very big thing, and we make sure that we show up and show out during homecoming. So I'm sure like everybody else, but definitely another thing that we do, especially with diversity and just like making sure that all the communities are together, is a lot of our MPHC organizations will have mixers with CPC and IFC people. So just to make sure that, you know, nobody's feeling like there is some type of animosity or anything. And everybody on Winthrop campus is super nice. So yeah.
Do we have any other responses for that question?
I can say something.
Okay.
So at Clemson, like everybody else is saying, our Black community is very small, but we do have a lot of organizations that tailor to Black people. Like for me, I'm in NSB, and so with that, I'm able to meet other Black engineers. And once you like meet the Black community, it's like you just feel like, wow, I see people that look like me, you know, because on regular day, like everybody was saying, when I go to class, like it's either me or like maybe one or two other people. So I just feel like it's good, like diversity is good over here, and you just got to put yourself out there so that way you can meet more people that look like you.
Okay, so you guys kind of segue into my next question. This next question is specifically for my students that attend PWIs. What's the Black experience like on your campus?
So like I said before, the whole Rockville State University thing, you know, I went to a predominantly white high school. So I definitely will say coming here, just in general, like even my freshman year, I was kind of in for like a culture shock just because I was around a lot of white people in high school. So I can definitely say that I have had a Black experience, even going to a PWI. You really can't not have one. I went through, like Peyton said, you have to really like put yourself out there and like talk to people, get to know people. And that's really how you make any college experience, is joining organizations and just talking to people in your classes and everything like that. But I have had a great Black experience at Winthrop. I honestly wouldn't change it for the world. Even going to a PWI, it still feels like I go to an HBCU.
I can go. So I know for me, I used to go to Claflin University. So like that was a predominantly Black school. So when I transferred to Clemson, it took me a minute because it was a culture shock. But yeah, like when I actually like, you know, started being in organizations, if I wasn't in organizations, I probably would have been by myself. So I'm thankful that I joined organizations like filled with people that look like me. And it kind of just helped me meet like more new faces. Even now, I'm still meeting new like more like Black people, and it's just good to see because it's like it's like that you're not by yourself.
I'll go. I came from a more kind of 50-50 high school, Black and white. So it wasn't so much of a culture shock of being one of two Black people in my classroom, but it's definitely like you observe it, you see it. But I am thankful that USC, us Black community, have created spaces. Like we have Black Space here, we have Savvy, we have Bond. We have these organizations where you get to like congregate with like people who look like you, talk about situations that specifically affecting you, just a safe space that you feel comfortable to share your opinions, your thoughts. And I'm really thankful that USC has created opportunities that we can do that. So that's kind of how I feel of having like being at a PWI, but also having our own space to express ourselves.
And I'll just add off of Carissa's point, similar to how Caitlin said that Winthrop has regular Winthrop and like Rock Hill State. There's USC and then Black USC. So we kind of function within the larger like microcosm of USC, but Black USC is its own entity. We have primarily our own homecoming. NPHC is a really big deal. We have a lot of our own like orgs and things. So although we are part of the larger university campus and you get the perks of that, you still get the homey feel of being like known by your Black community.
Okay, so my next question is for everyone. Next question is, what are some things you like about your university?
I'll go first answer that one. So for Benedict, I will say one of the things I like for one is the band. I don't know if y'all went to the USC game yesterday and Monday, but just the energy that they bring anytime they come into the room. So that's always a good thing. I like that. And then also too, how we basically turn up for any sport events, whether it's football, volleyball, basketball, like anything that's going on. The whole student body is in there, and the game could be boring, but the audience is just turning it up all the way. So that's one thing I like about Benedict. It's always the party when we all get together.
For Winthrop, one thing I like about Winthrop is we definitely just like in general are very like tight knit community, and like even like in Rock Hill itself. Even like if there's an event in Rock Hill, a lot of us will go out no matter what the race is. And we don't have football. Our main sport is basketball. So that is where most of our like the majority of our students go for games. And basketball games at Winthrop are like really fun, not gonna even lie. And I know during homecoming, basketball games are the lit place to be for everybody who goes to Winthrop. So definitely our basketball games is one thing that I definitely enjoy.
At Benedict, I definitely appreciate the support. I think when you have a great support system, that comes from like the students, the faculty, the staff, even alumni, and it's to the point where you can find an alum literally almost anywhere, especially when you go to like a convention or a conference or whatnot. But you can always find a Benedict alum, and they're willing to support. And they ask you how you're doing, what you need. You need some money, and what do you plan on doing after college? And they'll help you, and they'll make those connections. Just more so, just support and the connections here at Benedict. I really enjoy, along with just like what Nia said, the environment. We have a lot of enthusiasm. So the idea of this, the energy in different sporting events or just any event, honestly, it don't even have to be a sport event, just an activity. Like we can make it a party at any given time, and we can make it church. So it's just having that balance of those two is kind of pretty cool.
I'll say my favorite part going to USC would be fall semester, like as a whole, because we have homecoming, back to black is in fall, Sherlock Alpha, what else is there? Fashion show. A lot of our like predominantly Black events happen kind of like towards low-key the end of the school year. So all of us are stressed out, but it's like a nice like relief. But I think being able to see all of us together and we all be able to like joke, laugh, so like that is super fun. And that's part of the reason why I think I've stayed at USC. And then education wise, there's always going to be somebody that looks like you. They might not be in your necessary classes with you, but because our degree programs are so like separated, there's always going to be a Black person in your degree program with you. They might not be in your classes with you, but y'all can always help each other out. And along those degree programs, because we are a research one institution, they push it like pretty heavily. And there's so much different like research opportunity and money behind research you can get at the University of South Carolina. And that goes from your social sciences to your hard sciences. I know people with history majors who have full on like Magellan grants and different things like that. So I think the financial opportunity to do what you want to do academically is also like a good reason to stay.
Okay. Oh, did anyone else want to answer that question? I'm sorry if you did.
Sure, I can go.
Go ahead,
So, like
Jamie.
Ariel was saying, I love tailgating, especially when we get around, because like it's a party. I could forget about the football game and be there for hours. But also, I'm a food person, so I really like how there's a variety of food, and like it could be from like Hispanic, Asian, Mediterranean, just a lot of good food over here.
Okay, so my next question is, what are some things your university can improve on?
So I'll go first. So for us, I would say more of a like the biggest thing that comes to my head as far as improvement goes is just the infrastructure of the college. So like renovating the buildings and then also like the parking lots, I would say. That would be the most thing that I would think that would need to be improved on. And also too, just as far as like just connecting us with alumni a little bit better. Cause we have, it's more of a, you have to do it on your own type thing. But if it's, I feel like if it's a group effort where they just present it to us, be able to just connect a little bit more better and have a little bit more network as far as knowing who's who and who, because we have Benedict alum who are in these high places, but we just don't know of them necessarily.
One thing I would definitely improve just in general, I feel like most colleges are gonna say this, but parking. Parking on Winthrop campus is really hard. It's $100 for a parking pass. And yeah, so, and there really isn't like, if you live, there's certain dorms that only have like a limited amount of parking in front of the dorm. And if not, then you have to walk almost a mile to get the parking that's near your dorm. So that's definitely something, especially just like for women in general, walking a mile in the dark isn't really the vibe that you want to go for. So another thing I definitely would want to work on is and I literally just lost my train of thought. Wow, I forgot it. But definitely parking. I'm sorry. Maybe if I think about it after somebody else talk, but parking is definitely number one.
I was like, I'll do you one better. We pay $400 for a parking pass
I was just about
per
to say
semester.
Brandon.
Per semester. So
Just
you're
about to
paying
say that.
$800 approximately for a school year to park. Yeah. What else could we improve? Pipelining more African American students to the university. There's a lot of students that don't even know that they have the opportunity to go to Carolina basically for free because it's the state flagship institution. So we have our former president that is started a program that allowed high schoolers to kind of be pipelined into South Carolina public colleges in general, whether that be HBCUs, PWIs, or whatever, technical schools as well. And that has continued even though he has been dismissed. But there has been a significant improvement in that, but there's still so much more to go. Our state is about 23% African American, and there's only about 11% that is represented at the flagship state of the university, or the flagship university of the state. So those numbers kind of need to match a little bit better.
I think here at Benedict, we need to improve on like just social media in general. I think we're a little behind when it comes to just showcasing our HBCU. It's a lot to cover. Don't get me wrong, but I think just the idea of like graphics, videos, just a little bit more stuff up to date, just to really show the true, the true feel of Benedict College, just from a phone or just more so from a social media perspective. I think that most definitely could be better, because I've seen a lot of other HBCUs or even just schools in general that have really great social media presence, and I think we just need to catch up. But I think that would be big, and I know also too that would help with a lot of different solutions, even when it comes to like recruitment and just more so being able to follow and get the real feel of Benedict College. That could be just YouTube and vlogging and Twitter and Instagram, but just most definitely amp up the social media.
I would say for us having more Black inclusion when it comes to like homecoming, because during homecoming it's kind of tailored more to our white counterparts, and it makes like personally makes me feel like, I can't really relate to this. So like I feel like if they try to like, incorporate more of that, it would make more people have a fun time rather than trying to go to other schools. And also parking, because parking's atrocious here too.
I actually remember what the second point was. I think we need to work on our curriculum. I know Winthrop, we and every college want their students to stay, but Winthrop has specifically like Winthrop specific classes that you have to take. And it's hard for transfer students, whether they're transferring out of Winthrop or transferring into Winthrop. And it kind of puts you back on your progress. So you could be a junior coming from USC or another college, and you end up being a sophomore because you didn't take these Winthrop specific classes or vice versa. So definitely just like being, I guess, more flexible when it comes to different curriculums from different schools.
Okay, so my next question is specifically for HBCU students. What are some misconceptions people have about HBCUs and HBCU students in general?
I would say some misconceptions are, for one, that there's not any diversity on the campus, and it really is. Like we have a lot of Bohemian students, a lot of students from Ethiopia. Like, yes, they look like us, but they're totally different on how they just operate, how they move, what they eat. And I would also say another misconception is that we're not prepared for the real world necessarily, because we are, since we don't have a multiple because we don't have white people on our campus necessarily. And that's just not true, because we are prepared as far as when it comes to being in the real world, going to these conferences, going to doing research and symposiums and things like that. Like our professors do a really good job of making sure it's challenging us and making sure that we're just ready. So when we graduate, there's no question on where we're going. Like they do a really good job as far as preparing us for what's our next step after this.
Did anyone else want to chime in on that question? Okay, so we have two more questions. So my second to last question is for my PWI students. What are some misconceptions people have about Black PWI students?
The most misconception that I hear personally is that one, we get overlooked in class, like our professors don't care about us. But at least here, I know that that's not true. Most of my professors, I get emails about internships literally every day from all my professors. They really care about what we're doing after college, what our goals are after college. They really like to connect us with every opportunity they can. I know I have, and I'm just talking for business. Another LF that I have, she's not accounting, an education major, and she's currently an internship now, and they're already offering her job at the school she's working at. Another thing that was a misconception is that the NPHC lifestyle at a PWI isn't as, I guess, like true as when at HBCU, but here NPHC and at any college is just as fun as any other college. I mean, we have, like I said, our own community. I mean, the other thing is we don't have plots, I guess, at Winthrop. And I know plots are a big thing at HBCUs. And we would love to have plots here. But we know, you have to think about how, you don't want anything to get disrespected. And we don't want to have caused any problems that don't need to be caused. But there's some misconceptions I've heard. It's hard being a Black student going to a PWI sometimes because this whole debate on, getting the Black experience, you're not, representing your culture well. I can still do that at PWI. I can do that. I can represent my culture more at a PWI because I'm educating people who don't look like me about my culture. So it's like I'm helping the community more by going to PWI. Don't get me wrong, love HBCUs. Y'all's homecoming and environment are like top notch. But going to PWI, you definitely get to be that voice that needs to be heard at PWI.
I'm sorry, what question are we on?
We're on the number 7.
And can you repeat that question for me? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so this one, you can answer if you would like as well too. Question is, what are some misconceptions people have about Black PWI students?
I'll say another misconception would be like the sellout trope. But for a lot of us, we chose our state institutions or we chose our predominantly white institutions for financial reasons. Because you are a minority student, they push money at you to kind of up their numbers. And although the system is flawed, that money keeps from Black women and men and them, they, she, her, him, being able to afford college and afford college comfortably. And I think that's what a lot of people forget, that although we are here for the experience and although we are here to receive our degrees, receive our different opportunities and pathways and things like that, at the end of the day, none of us want to be walking out of our 4-year institutions broke as a joke. So I think being able to realize that sometimes we might have wanted a different experience, because I've applied for HBCUs and PWIs. We might have wanted a different experience in certain aspects, but financially, this is what worked. So I think that's a really important thing to understand, that it's not that students don't want to go to HBCUs. A lot of people can't afford it. And a lot of people are going to these state schools virtually for free. Also, high school counselors don't promote HBCUs nearly enough. So that's a really big issue as well. So a lot of the financial aid that you get is going to come from PWI because that's what they're pushing on you. Put that out there as well.
Did anyone else want to chime in on that question?
And if I could answer the misconceptions about HBCUs, because I missed that one. But I know some misconceptions are just that we're not prepared, or we take the easy way out. We pretty much get babied in a sense. But I can honestly say that is most definitely a misconception, because there are rigorous courses at historically Black colleges and universities. Also to the idea that some of us are not prepared for the actual real world. And I can definitely tell you that's a misconception, because it's to the point where now we have internships and just different programs that we have to complete that is more so career readiness in order for us to graduate. Even to the point where we have to do community service hours in order to graduate. So just make sure that we're prepared for the world and the workforce overall. I think those are pretty much the two big misconceptions, is that we're not prepared or we take the easy way out and we're baby at our HBCU.
Okay, and then my last question is for everyone. How can we better the connections between HBCU students and Black PWI students?
Definitely conversations like this, I think it most definitely would help. Even the idea of last name Cook, she was just even explaining more information in that, there is a grant or some sort that where students can go, historically black students and high school students could come to South Carolina and not pay a little bit of nothing. And I guess that's for grad students as well. So the fact that I plan on going to USC for grad school and just being able to hear different information and different resources like that, that's a starter, honestly. And just even just being invited to certain things here and there on campus and just connecting and communicating and checking in on one another, because we do sometimes experience some of the same struggles or even the same situations. But just more so connecting and just being able to check in with one another in conversations like this as well.
I'll say just keep it at the center for us to create community with each other. I know Columbia AKAs had a big group chat like during the summer, and we did some online like sisterhood bonding stuff like that. Although we are in two separate worlds as far as school goes, we're still going through the same stuff. We're all still stressed out. We're all still trying to find degrees and graduate with good jobs, high paying stuff. We don't want to be in debt. Like, we're all going through the same stuff mentally for the most part. So these are your sisters and brothers in education. You might as well use them for their resources. And like we're all saying, for a lot of us, this is on our last stop on the education train. So whether or not you want to go to grad school or some sort of degree program or anything like that afterwards, or even just trying to find a job, you don't know who's going to be the one to be sitting at the desk to hire you. So just being open-minded and available, and, we might not have had the same experience, but being able to share that and like connect on the things that we can connect on. I think we focus a lot on the differences, but there's a lot more in common with this.
I definitely would say, especially at PWIs, maybe educating us more on HBCUs. I definitely didn't know there were as many HBCUs as there were. Going to PWI, wasn't the only college I applied for, so, and I got in. So it was definitely, I really just focused on one school. I didn't really take time to learn about other schools. So definitely just, even though you're already at college, getting the chance to learn about, the history of HBCUs, still being able to, know the history and the culture and understand, why people go to HBCUs, why, it is what it is. Definitely is something that I think we should work on. But definitely, like everyone else said, is connecting. It's great when you get to connect from somebody just from different school in general, but being able to, share your experiences, share your differences, that's definitely something that I feel like we should definitely start doing. Because I would love to hear stories from people who go to HBCUs, because, it might be, I might have struggled with the same thing, or I can show a different perspective on something, or they can show me a different perspective on something. And that would just be not only like educating yourself, but educating other people.
I would also say connecting with both types of universities, and maybe even like going one day to like tour each other's universities to learn how it was formed, why is it great, and then maybe doing an event that like showcase why both of these institutions are great. But really that dialogue is the first step to like really get to know each other.
I would say, as far as, I would say more of a, just keeping an open invite. So open invite to campuses, inviting us to events that each other are having. So therefore we get the social feel of it, and also to the academic feel of it. Just keeping the open invite. So therefore it's a constant communication. So we both see like what's going on each side of each campuses.
I was like, I'm just talking. I think also utilizing the different schools that are in your area. So for example, like Columbia has a lot of PWIs and HBCUs. So being able to like cross program and being able to cross serve with a lot of different things also would greatly improve a lot of our relationships. A lot of these places are in the same towns. You might as well lean on your brothers and sisters because that's what they're there for. And I think as an MPHC community, we have the torch to carry, because our beloved institutions and our beloved sorority and our beloved fraternities came from HBCUs for the most part. And we have to recognize that and be able to preserve that history, because if there was no them, there would be no us. So just being, aware of the historical like implications that have occurred.
All right, if no one else has anything else to say, I just want to say personally, thank you all for hopping on this call. It was great listening to everyone's perspectives and hearing everyone's experiences. I think, like most of you all said, this is a part of the solution. Just having that dialogue, having that open and honest conversation so we can hear from one another is definitely a step in the right direction. So I just want to say I really enjoy moderating this conversation, and just thank you all so much for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for the
Kayla.
opportunity.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
No problem. And I'm going to stop recording.